Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back into my channel. So in this lecture and lab, we're going to talk about NAT for IPv4. And at the end of this lecture, we're going to configure NAT for IPv4. So this is a complete ebook for the CCNP and the CCIE Enterprise Core. It says Encor 350-401 official cert guide. So, like I said, I will leave a link below of this video so you could, go there and click on this link and download this book yourself if you want to have it on your personal computer. So so in this lecture today, like I said, we're going to talk about NAT. So I prepare a Word document with NAT. Let's go ahead and make this big. So let's make this in the middle. So what is NAT? What is Network Address Translation, NAT? Now, Network Address Translation is a service that enables private IP networks to use the internal cloud. NAT translate private IP addresses in an internal network into a public IP addresses before packets are sent to an external network. How does NAT work? Network address translation is a service that operates on a router or edge platform to connect private networks to public networks like the internet. NAT is often implemented at the WAN edge router to enable internet access in core campus, branch, and co-location sites. With NAT, an organization needs one IP address or one limited public IP address to represent an entire group of devices as they connect outside the network. Port address translation, PAT, enables one single IP to be shared by multiple hosts using IP and port address translation. So is NAT a secure feature on a router? Well, NAT is a networking feature that can help reduce organizational security risk by aiding internal networks from public networks. By default, outside public IPs cannot communicate to an internal private IP host if there is no pre-existing NAT translation. So, NAT separate public and IP networks. Additionally, organizations that use NAT can implement and maintain multi-layer security to block threats, protect against malicious activity. Your edge platform may be able to perform these essential security services. How can NAT help transition to IPv4? IPv6. Although this is not the lecture for IPv6, but we could talk about it just a while. While IPv6 offers many IP addresses, spaces to fulfill increasing host demands in today's networks, change or often need IPv6 and IPv4 addresses to coexist in your network. NAT can help support this coexisting and transition, allowing IPv6 only devices to communicate with IPv4 only device and vice versa. NAT allows organizations to connect IPv6 and IPv4 network using NAT 64 translations. Oh, sorry. So as a network service, it's important that NAT is supported with underlay performance. So NAT features and benefits. How can organization benefit from NAT? So organization are managing multi-cloud architecture need NAT to connect the private IP network to the internet and cloud. Whether you access or deliver cloud services, NAT translates IP address for users who are logging into these cloud services from on-premises and remote location. So manage multi-cloud networks. So carrier-grade NAT. Carrier-grade network address translation known as CGN or CGNAT translates IP address as much larger scale, often handling tens of thousands of NAT translation. Service providers and companies with large scale networks rely on CGN for internet and cloud connectivity. As a result, CGN should be supported by a capable platform that can serve high-scale demands. NAT 444 for service provider. Service provider using CGN may also employ a NAT 444 architecture as a strategy to manage and running the IPv4 supply. So this is important. With NAT 444, customer connections to internet service and the cloud can pass through 3 different IPv4 addressing domain: the customer private domain, the carrier private network, and the public internet. So high availability, many organizations, six greater reliability on the architecture expand to include the cloud. This is where NAT high availability feature can help. Stateless and stateful. So now guys, go ahead and make this center. So what are application level gateway? Application level gateway or application that translate IP addresses information inside the payload of an application package. They can be used to perform NAT and firewall action depending on configuration. So ALG that are configured to perform NAT and firewall action can allow client application to use dynamic TCP or UDP port to communicate with a server app, recognize application-specific command, and offer granular security control over those commands. Synchronize multiple stream or session of data between two hosts that are exchanging data. Translate network layer address information available in an application payload. Now, high-level login. Now, guys, so what are private IP addresses? As the internet became more popular years ago, the organization that managed IP addresses known as Internet Assigned Number Authority, IANA, realized that they need to do something, so they create a network address translation scheme. This scheme is described as a document called request for comment. FRC 1918. This is just one document of thousands that define how the internet works. If you want to learn about NAT, this is the document that all router manufacturers must implement. No matter what type of NAT you use, you will use IFC 1918 addresses. If you were to try to send an IFC 1918 private IP addresses into the internet, it will be much like sending a physical piece of mail with the return address of anonymous, yet requesting return service certification. If you were to try doing that with a snail mail service, you would never get to return the service certification because the service wouldn't be able to tell where anonymous even is. So NAT type, we have static NAT, dynamic NAT, and path, which is port address translation. So why use NAT? NAT is straightforward process. Most routing equipment you purchase at a store will implement it automatically or with a simple click of the mouse. Let's get a bit of deeper into NAT, whole IP conversation, and explain its limited role in its providing security services. IP conservation, like we just go over these. You could look at them yourself. So more on IPv6 as we done. So this is what is the worldwide network. What is a WAN? So a wide area network, which is when it's a large network of a tie to a single location when allows devices from around the world to communicate and share information. So that's important. So this is a LAN, which is a local area network. A local area network is a series of computers linked together to form a network. In a circumscribed location, LAN can connect to a form of wide area network. So we got that. And this is an attenuation. So guys, attenuation is the weakening of a signal strength due to noise, distance, or other external factor which can be cause distortion or confusion for a transmission. So NAT and security. So let's just make this last before we jump into the configuration today. So NAT and private IP addresses are not security services per se, but the use of NAT and private IP addresses is often received as a first step towards security. Now keep that in mind. Not because you configure NAT into your network does mean that you have applied a complete security feature. So NAT and private IP addresses are not security services per se, but the use of NAT and private IP addresses is often received as a first step towards security because NAT transfer packet of data from public to private addresses. It also helps prevent outside computer from directly accessing your private devices. For example, an individual from the internet would be able to use ping or web browser to connect into your home computer unless you create a very specific mapping. So it's still important to understand that in and itself, NAT does not provide security services such as firewalling, monitoring, antivirus protection, intrusion detection system, intrusion protection system, application security, and zero trust services. It is best to consider NAT as a service that preserves the organization IP addresses rather than the security information or privacy. Part of the confusion about whether or not NAT provided security services is that it's implement private IP addresses. It might seem natural to assume that the term private implies security and privacy, but in almost every practical way, NAT does not provide security services, okay? Instead, it allows you to use the IFC 1918 addresses. So thank you so very much. Let's go ahead and start making our configuration in this lab. So the lab says, okay, so configure NAT for IPv4. The addressing table gives us router 1, 2, and 3, PC1, 2. We have a local PKA, outside PC, Cisco PKA. So that was the lab objective. It says to configure dynamic NAT with path and configure static NAT. So first thing first, all we got to do is to use the name ACL to permit the addresses from the land 1, land 2, and 3 to be translated. Specify the land in this order to use our 2 NAT. So we're going to use router 2, and we're going to create a NAT pool name router 2 pool, and the pool should use the first addresses from the 192.202.2.128/30. So which one? Yeah. So we're going to, so the pool name should, we must match exactly our translated addresses. So now all the configuration is gonna be done between those two here. So it gotta be this router here, because this is the inside outside. So let's go ahead. Let's make this big. And conf t, tell you what. Okay. So we should say and fast Ethernet 0/0. So that's what we've been given, right? This one here, the IP address. See if we can grab it. We could do IP NAT inside. Then you could do NFS. Exit out. And serial. So this is for the serial here. We could do serial and so we've been provided in router 2, right? This one. So we're gonna call this IP NAT inside too. So then we have to do up for the other serial that we've been provided, which is this one. Then we do NAT inside. Now we have another one that will be NAT outside. So this is, oh, sorry. It's this, so this one is NAT outside, because that's what's correspond to this IP address. This IP address here, 65.200. Let me see. Yep. So the NAT outside is 65.200, this one here. So let's pull this and enter. Then it should be IP NAT. So instead of inside, outside. Okay. So now let's prepare the NAT pool. So it should be IP NAT pool as router 2 pool this IP. See if we could. Oh, that's not it. Let's grab this IP address. Copy. Space it here. IP 65. 129. Then what? Divided 202. And then again. Then we get the net mask, which is 255.255.255.252. 55.255.252. Okay. Now you got to do the inside source list. So we should say IP NAT inside source list routed to NAT pool routed to pool overload. Okay, so now we have one more, which is we gotta do the inside source static. So IP NAT inside source static, and then it's 192. It's IP, which IP? 54. So will be this IP. Let's go ahead and type that in. So instead of type it in, let's go ahead and just paste it and change data. Nine two dot 168.254. The other IP is that 30. This IP here. 165.202. 202.30, which is this IP here, the outside. So 2.130, I mean. Okay. Now, let's do the standard. So it's IP access list standard routed to NAT. Now let's permit a couple of the IP. So let's permit. Zero, 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 255. Let's change data. 168.20. Let's change data again. So these are the IP that we just typed it in. Well, there's the stuff that should permit. It's these. When start here, PC1 got a permit, PC2 they got a permit, PC1, 2, and 3. Local AK, just in case if you wonder what we're doing. Make this 30. Okay, so we pretty much end. So guys, so now we're pretty much done with this lab configuration. So thank you so very much for following along. I appreciate you taking the time to do this lab together. If you have a question or comment, you're free to leave a comment below. If you have a suggestion too, you could reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you with any help that you may have. It says show IP and BR. Go to configuration. All the configuration we made on this. All right, guys. So thank you. I'll see you in the next lecture and lab.